Okay, so for this next segment, I wanted to do like a beginner entry level topic for Cannith Crafting. And what has inspired me to do this is that last year I posted a video, a pretty short video on how to, it was called Cannith Crafting, how to level 300 in less than 30 minutes. And I show a very simple method that is easy to do, but if somebody didn't show you, you probably wouldn't figure it out on your own until you wasted too many resources like I did when Cannith Crafting got its overhaul 5 years ago, and I wasted like 200,000 essences. In any event, literally, that is not any kind of overstatement. You literally can get to level 300 in less than 30 minutes and be at a place where you can craft everything for yourself. But in the video, I said, you're going to want to have like a good 10,000 stack of essences before you get started using the method that I show, so that you can at least grind your way through some progress. And I had quite a few comments on that video from people saying, like 10,000 essences, basically like, like, what are you kidding? Like, that's a ridiculous amount, like as if I had told them they needed $1 million to get started. But I can understand that to a new player who, maybe watches that video and they look at their bag and they're like, man, I got 400 essences. What are you talking about 10,000 essences? Like, where am I supposed to get that from? And so that's what I want to address and show you that you can actually build up your essences pretty quickly, and I'm going to show you how you do that. There's no place. I've had a lot of questions over the years, is there a good farm for essences? There's none that I've ever heard of. You basically have to create your essences by deconstructing junk loot. And that is correct, Dread's not. You get most of your essences by deconstructing low level or high level loot. So if somebody's new, they just have low level loot. So then what do you do? Well, if you're really that new, and that's all you have is, your level 7 tune, getting your Cannith Crafting to 300 at that point, if you're really that new, at that point, getting your Cannith Crafting level 300 isn't going to really help you anyways. Because you don't have the craftables, the ingredients to craft the items, and you probably don't even have a good idea of what to craft yet because you're so new to the game. So what I would recommend if somebody was really at that point, like you're really that new, is spend a life or two just deconstructing all your stuff. Don't worry about getting your Cannith Crafting going for this first couple of lives or so, or at least not that first life. Learn the game, learn what you want, fill in your gear slots with some name loot, and then Cannith Crafting's place in 2021 is really a gap filler. We have so much other loot options right now, but Cannith Crafting still has a valuable role in being a gap filler for leveling gear. It's not really an end game thing. By the time you get to 29, you really should be using named loot. There's so much stuff out there, Ravenloft, Sharn, Feywild, and so on. But especially for leveling, especially for heroics, but even epic leveling, it can be a really nice gap filler. And I still love to use it. So if you're really new, what you want to do is spend a couple of lives, or at least one life, just deconstructing all of your junk loot. And so what I have in my inventory now is just a few pages of just junk loot that I've collected over the past few days of questing. This isn't stuff that took me weeks to build up. This is literally just from 2-3 days of questing. No big whoop. It's just junk loot. And there's two advantages of spending that first life or two of there's multiple advantages of just deconstructing your junk loot and not worrying about your Cannith Crafting. One is because, like I said, after you get a couple lives under your belt, you're going to have a better idea of the kinds of things you want and where the gaps in your gear set is. Two, you're going to have built up some collectibles, which are the ingredients you need to craft the shards. And three, you're going to be able to build up essences. have those essences that you need to level quickly. And I'm going to put links in this video. Like this segment is not going to be like how to Cannith craft. I have a beginner's guide to Cannith crafting where I start from the very basics and I walk you through the whole thing. It's for people who don't know anything about Cannith crafting, or maybe were intimidated by it or confused by it. And then I have the how to level quickly, which is a shorter video, and then I have an advanced guide to Cannith crafting that covers topics beyond what's in the beginner's guide. I would recommend, if you're new to Cannith crafting, that you watch all of those videos. You know, it's going to be a little bit, you know, it's going to be a few hours to watch all those videos, maybe 2.5 hours or something, but it's a good investment in your DDO future to learn how to Cannith craft, and it's easy and fun. You know, one of my video series, the Northwind series, and I did a sequel to Northwind 2 series, by the time I got to, that's where I went to another server where I didn't have any friends, I didn't have a guild, I didn't have any gear, I didn't have any wealth, I didn't have anything. I was able to get that tune without using any real money, just by using stuff that was available in the game, like to level 300 Cannith crafting, you know, during that second life, during the second life of a tune. Nobody was giving me anything. It was all just, you know, what I earned in the game over the course of those 2 lives. So what I want to show you a couple of things here is how you can build up your essences, and how if you spend a couple lives, a life or two, just deconstructing all your junk loot, not only are you going to build up your essences, but you're also going to build up your foundational levels. Just over the course of a single life in that Northwind True First Life series that I did on another server, I deconstructed all my junk loot. And at the time, I wasn't planning on, in that first series, I wasn't planning on actually trying to do any Cannith crafting. I was just deconstructing loot so that I could get essences and sell, because I needed plat. You know, I didn't have anything over there on the other server. But just over the course of doing that, of deconstructing all my junk loot, just from going 1 to 30, I got to my Cannith crafting levels to like 100. Just deconstructing loot. Because those first 100 levels go by super fast. You don't even need to do the quick leveling method for that. Just deconstruct your loot. You don't get much, but you don't need much. So I want to show you the amount of essences that I get just out of a few pages of deconstructing, you know, junk, you know, level 30 gear, but also to show you that you can get some platinum here too, because, you know, if you're a new player, you might be thinking, well, if I deconstruct my loot, then I can't sell it for plat. Well, you're going to get some plat by deconstructing. It's not as much, but, you know, it's all, everything's an opportunity cost, right? You know, there's so many things we want to do in DDO. We want to get past lives, we want to get Reaper points, we want to farm out gear, we want to build our Cannith crafting levels, we need plat, we need shards. So, you know, it's a balance. You know, we got to decide what our priorities are, and we can't get everything, you know, right now. So, but when you're ready to Cannith craft, and there's plenty of ways to build your wealth. I have a whole other video on how to build your wealth, and I'll put a link in this video for that as well. So you can watch, you'll watch my essences build up. I have no essences on this tune. I don't have any bags for them to go in. It's just going to go in my inventory. And you see I have no plat, so you'll be able to see how much plat I get. So we're just going to go to the little coffee grinder here, click dissolve. I got 21 essences from that. So this is going to be a little tedious to deconstruct 3 bags of stuff, but see, I'm not sure why deconstructing some stuff gives you platinum and other stuff doesn't. I really, like, this stuff right now is not giving me any plat, and I don't know why. But other stuff will. But it's just 3 pages. We'll get through this in just a minute or two. Sometimes it just doesn't want to accept it, and you gotta close it and start over. But you can see, you can watch me level. I'm already level 6. This tune didn't start out with any levels. Right? Just through deconstructing. Look, I'm level 7 now. Right, and this is just a few bags of loot. right? This isn't over the course of a life. This is just a few days of questing. Just by deconstructing. I've already got 500 essences there. Now I'm level 9. I'm building my foundational levels. I'm just going to move the essences over here so you can see them build up. So this is what you want to do. You want to spend that first life or two just deconstructing all your junk loot. I'm getting absolutely no plat from this. I don't know why. But you will get plat for deconstructing loot sometimes. Maybe it's because this is level 30 gear. I really don't know. It could be coded differently because of the random loot overhaul. I really don't know. Yeah, and that's another way. If you're really like, I don't want to do this over a life, I just cannot wait. You can get, I see 10,000 stacks of essences posted on the shard exchange for, around 50 shards. So if you want to drop some money on shards, or you have the shards, then, you can just buy them from the shard exchange. In fact, let's take a look. Oh, there's only a few. Well, there's one for a 10,000 stack for 52 shards. So that's about what I said. Move that over so you can see it build up. Yeah, if you got guildies, you might be surprised. You might have guildies or friends that have a bunch of them. I've got probably like 100,000 essences in the bank. I don't deconstruct my loot anymore because I just don't need essences anymore. And for a veteran player, dropping a new player 10,000 essences might be no big deal at all. I mean, if one of my guildies was like, hey, I want to get into Cannith Crafting, yes, I'd give them 10, 20,000 essences, no problem. Here you go. No sweat off my back. Whenever I get junk loot, I usually I move it all over, unless it's a really low level loot, I just sell it at a vendor. But whenever I get junk loot, I just move it over in my shared bank, and then I usually just take it out of my bard and sell it at a pawn shop, because my bard has high haggle and you get better prices at a pawn shop. So I have a lot more junk loot. I'm not gonna take the time to deconstruct it all right now. But I have a whole a bank that's probably got another few bags worth of junk loot. So just deconstructing a few bags of junk loot, I've got 1,850 essences. So the point is, if you just get in the habit of deconstructing your junk loot, you can build up 10,000 essences pretty quickly. I mean, you're not going to do it in a day, but like I said, if you just take a life and get in the habit of deconstructing all your junk loot at the end of your day or the beginning of your day, whatever. And look at that. I got to level 21, almost level 22. So imagine if I spent a whole life deconstructing all my loot. Like I said, when I did that on another tune on another server, I got to about level 100 just deconstructing my loot. That's not making any effort to level up. That's not crafting anything or, using crafting XP pots or anything like that. And by the way, crafting XP pots do not give you anything extra for deconstructing the loot. So that if you spend a life or two deconstructing everything, you'll have a big stack of essences to work from, and you'll have your first 100 or so levels out of the way, and that's a wonderful springboard to start from. And then you can apply that method that I show, that very easy method that I show, in the How to Level 300 in Less Than 30 Minutes video. Again, links in this video description. So deconstruct your loot. Before you know it, you're going to be sitting on big stacks of essences, and if you can work up, if you can get a 10,000 stack, you're going to get a lot of progress out of that. That's going to be worth, spending some time using that method, getting those resources I talked about, and then, build up another 10,000 stack. You should be just about there. You get about 20,000. That's going to get you probably about to 300 if you, get your Cannith Crafting XP pot. If you get your success boosters that I talk about. Some very modest investments out of the DDO store, which are very worthwhile because you only need to level 1 toon in Cannith Crafting, because the stuff that you craft is bound to account. So you just have like your main toon as your crafter, and then that toon will craft everything that is needed for your other toons. So if you're looking at your bags and you're sad that you only have a few hundred essences and you're like, how the hell do I get started? Well, I just showed you. Deconstruct your loot, and before you know it, you're going to have tons of essences, and then you're going to be able to use those to get where you want to be. Hell yeah.